Shalom, everybody. This week's parasha is PARASHAT Tavo. It's Deuteronomy chapter 26 through chapter 29, verse 8. This week's parasha begins with the words Tavo, when you come, when you shall come. And it refers to when the people of Israel come to the land of Israel, how when they bring their tithes and offerings, that they bring them to the temple that would be in the place that the Lord chooses, and bring them before the Kohen, that we will remember that when God blesses us, it's not because of our self-righteousness. It's not because of how great we are, but because God blessed us, because God had mercy and compassion on us to grant us his guidance, and that when we surrendered ourselves to God, by surrendering ourselves to his guidance, blessings come upon us. To not be puffed up. But also it says you will bring it to the Kohen. Kohanim are descendants of Aaron, the brother of Moses. And the fact that they still exist among the people of Israel, among the Jewish people, the fact that Kohanim, the descendants of Aaron, the brother of Moses, still exist, testifies to the historicity of the narrative of the Jewish people, of the people of Israel, of the Bible. There are even a small number of families among the Jewish people still alive today that preserve a continual genealogy going back from present time. People alive today going all the way back to Moses, the brother of Moses, Aaron. Furthermore, this week's parasha brings up one of the most commonly known aspects of the Bible and of the Jewish people, and that is the concept of the Jewish people's chosenness, the chosenness of the people of Israel. This is an extremely important concept, but also one that's critical to understanding, because depending on how you understand this concept can make a difference of whether or not you will have a antagonistic view toward the Jewish people, the people of Israel. The one view is that the people of Israel are chosen for some genetic reason, that it has everything to do with their ancestry. Most people who hate the Jewish people hate them, have their hatred tied to this view, a genetic type view of the Jewish people. And sadly, there are many Jews who don't help the situation and also promote that this is the essence of the people of Israel's chosenness. Albeit the majority of the Jewish people alive today, while being grateful for their heritage and being proud of their heritage, do not hold to this view of chosenness. But what's most important here is that this concept of chosenness, a genetic sort of chosenness, that's the crux of what it means that Israel is the chosen people. The most important thing here is that this week's Torah portion, Deuteronomy chapter 26 through chapter 29, verse 8, highlights, among many other places in the Bible, it highlights that God's choosing the people of Israel is not a choosing of the people of Israel because of their own goodness, because of their own righteousness, but rather God's choosing the people of Israel is to choose them to be a light unto other nations, to be a vessel of God's blessing to the world, both to them and to others. That if we uphold his covenant with us, that if we cherish and guard his commandments, then we will be chosen for blessing. But if we revile the commandments of God, if we turn our backs on the God of Israel, he who created the people of Israel in the first place, then we will be chosen for cursing, for slander, for disease, for turmoil and persecution. But God assures us that when we turn back, he is there waiting for us to turn back, to turn us again into a people chosen for blessing. What's also critical is that the Torah again and again, the Bible again and again reiterates that this covenant of chosenness is open to all people who choose to join the people of Israel. So ultimately, God's chosenness of the people of Israel is a chosenness because we choose him. but we choose him because he first chose us. He chose every man. God chose every man for blessing. Every man who will choose with their free will to choose God, to choose his word. And every man, when we turn our backs on God, we are chosen for a curse. So the chosenness of the people of Israel is not some sort of genetic superiority. Anyone familiar with Jewish law will know that even a descendant of Aaron, the brother of Moses, can forfeit his status as a Kohen, as a priest of the people of Israel. Just as even someone of the 7 nations, the 7 Canaanite nations that were idolatrous and violent, committing infanticide, human sacrifice, even someone from that background, if he turns to the God of Israel, can be like a priest of Israel, like a Levite, in the words of the Rambam, Maimonides, having a portion among the people of Israel and the blessings of God upon him. But lastly, I would like to end with this. Every person who holds to a certain ideology views himself as belonging to a certain chosen group. So anyone who twists the words of the Torah, twists the word of God, twists the Bible, twists the concept of chosenness, and makes it out to be something that the Torah, that the Bible never says that it is, and hates the Jewish people for it, and attempts to justify in their perversion, to justify persecution and murder of the Jewish people based on some sick concept of justice, as if they revile a concept of chosenness, which actually is very moral and makes sense, as already explained. A chosenness based on action, not based on some immutable genetic characteristic. If someone hates the Jewish people for that, remind them. If they are Muslim anti-Semites, Muslim people who are glorifying terrorism and the murder of Jewish civilians, remind them, what does Islam teach about the Muslim people? Does it not teach that the Ummah, the Islamic nation, that it is chosen? How are you any different? Is it genetic? Why is that okay, but the chosenness of the Bible not? And for Christians who make an issue, does not the apostles in the New Testament say that you are a chosen nation? A kingdom of kings and priests? Is this not also in the New Testament? Does not the New Testament say again and again that he who has chosen Christ, he who has made Christ his Lord, that he was chosen even before the foundations of the world? And lest any atheists or secularists out there want to throw stones in a glass house and say, oh, this is just a mess of religions. Well, what exactly was going on when the atheistic ideologies of communist Russia and of Maoist China and of modern-day radical leftists in the United States, when those who advocate those atheistic, secularist, humanist, inhumane humanist ideologies, when they do horrendous injustices towards others, yet they get a free pass because of their ideology, do they not view themselves as belonging to a special ideology, that they are therefore chosen to be the exception to the rule? Do they not think that they are better than others when they commit acts of terrorism in the name of their secularist ideologies? No. This sort of bigotry is nothing unique to the perverse who twist religion, but it is a perversion that is found among all peoples. All people are susceptible to this kind of bigotry. If you did not espouse the chosen religion, the chosen ideology of communism, in communist Russia or China, then you were chosen for a curse. You would only be blessed by the atheistic government if you embrace their ideology. So the question isn't whether or not there's an issue with chosenness, but whether or not you choose the most moral way, the most just way, the way that is time proven, and that leads to a more moral and compassionate society. The bedrock of Western society, despite its imperfections, where it has fallen short of its foundations, yet the society that has most upheld the principles of the Torah. Unlike all the civilizations that have fallen before us into oblivion, that committed far greater atrocities. So this is why it's not good to forget. So that's this week's parasha. God chooses us because we choose him, and we choose him because he's chosen to bless those who make him the Lord of their lives and choose the light of his guidance. On that note, everybody have a wonderful week. Shavua Tov, and God bless. Shalom uvracha.